Hey guys, Tony here. So in this video, I want to show you how to make more money doing the same amount of work. So you know that I love spreadsheets. I'm going to take you into one of my spreadsheets. I'm going to do a comparison of a therapist who works 30 hours a week doing primarily what I think we're really designed to do versus the conventional model of what most therapists are doing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the year-end values. We're going to say, okay, if I had almost $100,000 extra profit, what would I be able to do with that? And I think you'll kind of open your eyes to a couple new ideas. So let's take a look at what I've got. And some of you might already know where I'm going with this. Behind me on the screen, this is CGS. This is what I used for reference to look at the Ohio Medicare allowed amounts for Medicare Part B. Now, I'm just looking at an evaluation for physical therapy, therapeutic activity, and therapeutic exercise. I'm not looking at other high value codes. There's a lot more opportunity behind the scenes that I'm scratching the surface here. So let's take a look at what we've got. This is a simple spreadsheet looking at two scenarios. Scenario number one. Now, full disclosure, this does not take into account the effects of MPPR. This is absent that, but the numbers can still be used to give you a generalization of what we're doing. So if I primarily focused my time, effort, energy on doing what I do best, the initial evaluation, developing the plan of care, creating and establishing patient-centric goals specific to the individual, and really running the show in terms of saying, these are the problems we found, these are the impairments and the functional limitations. This is the program that will get you from where you are right now to where you want to be. These are the tools, the resources, this is everything you need to achieve your goals. Okay, so let's pretend I only did the initial evaluation plan of care a single session. That was my role on the team. I do a single session. I do 30 a week, which I know to a lot of you sounds crazy, but a lot of you aren't doing things the right way. And the bottom line is, when you understand how things are supposed to be done, especially when we're talking about Medicare guidelines and documentation, you will see the immense load of work that you're doing that's unnecessary because of the practice model that you've chosen. And that's okay. Like, if you want to practice the way you've chosen, totally within your right. You can make 30% less money. You can do 30% more work. That's your choice because you are more fulfilled doing things the way you have been doing them. My fear for you is that you're doing them because you've never seen another way to do it. And I want to show you a little bit of the other side. So back to this scenario for a second. Let's say that I'm doing 30 new patient evaluations a week, because that is the business I'm in. I'm in the business of new patient evaluations, developing the plan of care, establishing the goals, doing the things that truly require the skills of a therapist, without taking into account sequestration and MPPR, and using 2 units of therapeutic activity, since that's really mostly what we're going to be doing in the treatment portion of the first session, and 1 unit of therapeutic evaluation, 60-minute session. I'm looking at about $202 reimbursement. Okay, what about a typical follow-up visit, potentially for the same individual? Now, of course, CPT codes will vary in time and all of that stuff will vary, but we're using generalizations here. Typical follow-up for this same individual, I'm going to do 2 therapeutic activity to really work on function, and 2 therapeutic exercise to build the strength, range of motion, the other impairment deficits that I see. So I'm looking at about $133 reimbursement. If we look at the 202 versus the 133, you can see nearly a $70 difference between those 2 visits. That's an hour of my life either way. If I'm doing an initial evaluation or I'm doing a patient follow-up, I'm investing 60 minutes of my life that I will never get back. Why would I not get paid $70 more if I have the ability and the capacity to? And then, of course, when we extrapolate those numbers out, so we say, okay, what if I look at building my entire practice based on only doing the things that I do best. I do 30 new patient evaluation sessions a week. That's the eval and the treatment on day one. I'm generating about $6,000 a week. Compare that to another provider who maybe is doing 3 new evals a week and about 27 follow-up visits a week. Now, I've played around with these numbers and I'll show you a couple variations that, depending on the length of your plan of care. But I think 3 new patients, 27 follow-ups for therapists that are doing long plans of care, totally reasonable based on the numbers that I've seen. So we're talking the difference between a $6,000 a week and a $4,200 a week. Keep in mind, well, never mind. 6,000 versus 4,200. We're looking at over 50 weeks a year, assuming you take 2 weeks vacation, $303,000 versus $210,000. What could you do with a $90,000 a year difference? Think about that for a second. Even if I was to look at these 2 models and say, well, what do I do with the patients that need more follow-up care? Okay. What if your whole business was based on you exclusively providing the premium level service of the evaluation, and then you supervised a physical therapist assistant to provide the follow-up care, or you brought in another physical therapist who hates the evaluation part and loves the patient care part? That's great. You could pay them to do all of those follow-up visits. You're collecting on average, whatever, $120 minus MPPR, $100. You can pay them a huge salary to let them handle all of the follow-up care. Understand that. Just because it's your business doesn't mean you personally should be doing the low reimbursing. You almost caught me. I almost said low value. It's not low value to you, but it's low value to the payer. Follow-up care is low value to the payer. And so you hire somebody to do that work. You do the high value work. You've got an extra $90,000 in the bank that you can do to grow and develop and do other things. The model is here. So now you're going to say, at least I hope you're going to say, well, Tony, how are you going to get 30 new patients a week? That is insane. Okay, let's do a little bit more math right now. If you look at my clinic, just my clinic on average, I probably do about 10 new evaluations in a typical week, 5 at each of my clinic locations. We're clearly not a high volume clinic. We're not super busy. So that being said, in addition to me, Athletico is in my town. A second private practice is in my town. The hospital outpatient physical therapy is in my town. Are you going to tell me that you think between the 10 that we do, 10 new patients a week, the others aren't doing probably 10 at least at Athletico, probably 5 at the smaller private practice, probably 15 to 20 at the hospital? The numbers are there. The numbers are there. I just need to bring that market share over to me. And the only reason why I don't have that market share is because I don't want to do it. I'm just like you. I'm a physical therapist. I don't want to do it. The $90,000 extra isn't totally worth it for me right now. I've got a very comfortable life. I've got a great work-life balance. I spend time with my kids. I do what I want to do. I get my workouts in. I'm not hungry for the growth. But I'm not talking to me. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the new grads out there that are hungry. I'm talking to the clinicians who were me 20 years ago when I started my practice. You are the therapist that I want to expose you to this. Now, again, you might say, well, that's pretty extreme. What if we do something in between? Do it. What if you focus on the evals and you do 15 new evals as the main chunk of your business? You focus on marketing and advertising 1 session plans of care. how many geriatric individuals who have Medicare, who are Medicare beneficiaries, would absolutely benefit from a one-time visit plan of care. You do your eval, you develop a program, you make recommendations, you do some education, you establish a goal, you discharge them all in the same session. Think about that. You know, even to the point where what if you discharge them then out to a Silver Sneakers program? So they get free follow-up sessions at Silver Sneakers, but they came to you for the expertise. You just made $200 there. You connect with some of the other local studios, the yoga studios, the Pilates studios. You become the resource, the referral resource for all of those other places, and you establish yourself as the absolute expert in your area for evaluating, developing a plan of care, establishing goals, educating the geriatric populations who don't want to come to therapy 3 days a week for an indefinite period of time. I just think that this is such an amazing opportunity that gets overlooked because we are so in the mindset of, well, I'm a physical therapist. I do physical therapy. If I can't provide patient care, then what am I? I don't want to be a robot. How many times have you heard that or probably said that? I don't want to be an evaluating machine. You're losing sight. Just because the evaluation is what I tend to believe is the most valuable part of what we do, that paves the way for you to do other stuff. Back to the original idea. What if you ran a model like this for a year? You made an extra $90,000 in that year. Then you sold that business to another entrepreneurial-minded therapist who wants to earn an extra $90,000 a year. You sold this business that's generating $300,000, mind you. You sell it for $1 on revenue, so you sell it for $300,000. Now for the next 4 years, you could do all the free patient care that you want and a couple evaluations, and you're still going to make more money than you would be making if you ran a standard practice. Think about that. This is paying you to be able to do what you love into the future without the burden and the stress of the regulation and the compliance if you're running things as a wellness program, performance, sport, you know, geriatric golf. Like, there's so many things that we can get into. Time for another topic. Guys, I hope this was helpful. My ultimate goal in all of this is exposing you to new ideas and new concepts, giving you a chance to see things through a different lens. Catch you next time.